Hi everyone. When deploying Konvoy on AWS, you can leverage the AWS EBS CSI driver to get highly available persistent storage. But when you deploy Konvoy on-premise, by default, you only get local persistent storage. So one option to get highly available storage on-premise is to leverage one of our partner, and in this case, we'll focus on Mayadata and try their product called OpenEBS. So you have the documentation available there. It's quite easy. We have that for other partners as well. So what the first things to do is just deploying a cluster, Konvoy cluster. So by default, you get a lot of add-ons, and some of them are leveraging persistent storage. So in this case, because we will not use persistent storage from AWS, even if we will deploy it there, we just disable the one that require persistent storage, and we'll deploy a Konvoy cluster, and after that we'll deploy OpenEBS, and then we'll be able to enable these add-ons, and they will leverage OpenEBS storage. So we just start by deploying the Konvoy cluster. So now we see the add-ons are being deployed after the Kubernetes deployment, and only the one we have not disabled. So everything is now deployed. We can access the Konvoy UI using this URL. And we can see that Grafana and Kibana are currently disabled, and we can access the dashboard. You can see we already use Kubernetes 1.15.2, which is very new. And the next step is to first add some storage. So we just add a 150 gig disk to each worker. And we also need after that to enable and to deploy and enable ISQD on all these workers as well. Then we need to enable kubectl, or to configure kubectl. So we have a Konvoy CLI for that. So running a kubectl get nodes, we can check that everything is fine. You can see the version as well. And then we can deploy OpenEBS on this cluster. And we'll see, can check the progress on the dashboard here. So there is an OpenEBS namespace now, and we just need to wait a minute or two. So it's ready, and if we look at the documentation, then we need to check the block devices. So we can do that there. And then we are supposed to take these block devices and report them to create the storage pool claim, but just created a quick script to do that, just getting the list from there. So we can just execute that, and we should be fine. And next step is to create a storage class that will be the default storage class. Just executing this. And then there is just like a quick example that create a persistent volume claim and a pod just to see that everything works fine. So we just execute this, and we can go to the dashboard here on the default namespace. It is being deployed. We'll see a persistent volume like it's here, it's done. If I come back here in a few seconds, I'll get my pod running. So everything is fine. Persistent volume is now configured correctly. And the only thing we need to do now is to enable the add-ons we have disabled at the beginning so that they are deployed and they leverage it. So I just go there and edit again this YAML file and enable all of them. So Velero for the backup, Prometheus for the metrics, Kibana, bit to get the logs, Elasticsearch, if I didn't forget anything, we should be good, and we can run again the same command we used to deploy the cluster to deploy the additional add-ons. Oops. There will be nothing to do on the Terraform side because there is no new pieces of infrastructure to deploy. So it will just compare with what we deployed before, and then it will launch the Ansible script, which will be responsible for enabling the new add-ons. So we can see that the add-ons are now being deployed. So if I go back to the dashboards and I go to the Cube add-ons, I will see that it's probably currently already in progress. Many services are currently starting, but we already see the percent volumes that are being created. Okay, so everything is finished now. All the add-ons have been deployed and enabled, and we can see all the corresponding volumes here, and also all the corresponding resources. So we now have here Grafana enabled and Kibana enabled, so you can just go there, see Grafana data starts to come here, and you have like multiple dashboards you can use, and also Kibana should be ready, so you can start to take a look at the logs. Like you have seen, we have used the highly available persistent storage for Elasticsearch and Prometheus and so on, but it's not mandatory because data is already replicated by this software. So we could have deployed Konvoy without OpenEBS and enabling OpenEBS after, and in this case we would have just add local persistent storage for Elasticsearch and Prometheus. But we just decided to have a higher level of availability doing that in that way. So I hope it was useful. Thank you.